There is a place where secrets slept in stone, where shadows of gods danced through sacred halls. And for nearly 2,000 years, whispers filled the air, whispers of a ritual so profound, it promised the soul a glimpse of immortality. This was Eleusis, home to the Eleusinian Mysteries. Not many have heard of them, and those who have, they rarely understand how deeply these rites shaped the ancient world. But today, we open the gates. Let's step inside the mystery. For the ancient Greeks, religion was everywhere. In the sky, the sea, the harvest, the heartbeat. But among all their gods and rituals, the mysteries of Eleusis stood apart. They weren't just sacred, they were forbidden. Initiates, known as Mysti, swore absolute secrecy. Speaking of what they saw inside the sanctuary was punishable by death. The journey began long before the gates of Eleusis. It started in Athens, where each year, during the sacred month of Boedromion, thousands gathered, men and women from every corner of society, citizens, foreigners, even slaves, came together to walk the sacred way. 15 miles of dusty road, from the heart of the city to the hallowed sanctuary. But this wasn't just a physical path. It was a spiritual crossing from the world of the known into the realm of mystery. The first day was one of silence, fasting, washing in the sea. These weren't empty gestures. They stripped the soul bare. The salt water touched more than skin. It touched the spirit. And in the quiet that followed, something ancient stirred. On the second day, the people gave their offerings: barley, cakes, libations to Demeter and Persephone. These two weren't just myths. They were memory and cycle, mother and daughter, life, death, and rebirth. Their story was the soul of the mysteries. For the initiates, this was just the beginning. They were no longer ordinary people. They were part of something larger, something older. The path ahead was veiled, but with each step, they moved closer to a moment that would change them forever. The Telesterion waited, the great hall of initiation, silent and vast. What lay inside? None could speak of it, but those who emerged did so with a different gaze, a light in their eyes that only those who had seen could understand. The nights at Eleusis were unlike anything in the ancient world. Torches lit the darkness, songs echoed across the plain. But this was no festival. It was a descent, a symbolic journey into the underworld. Initiates followed in the footsteps of Persephone, who was taken from the world above and led into the land below. This part of the ritual, it wasn't for the faint-hearted. They faced their fears, death, the unknown, the unraveling of self. Some say they drank a sacred potion, the Kykion, made of barley and mint. Others believe it unlocked visions, truths beyond time. Inside the Telesterion, it is said they saw a revelation, something so powerful, so otherworldly, that the memory of it stayed for life. Some cried, some laughed, but all were transformed. This was catharsis, rebirth through darkness, the kind of spiritual awakening that didn't just speak to the mind. It shattered it and rebuilt it. And once they emerged, they weren't initiates anymore. They were epoptai, those who had seen, and what they had seen could never be spoken aloud. But the peace it brought, the deep, unshakable calm, lingered. Some claimed they no longer feared death. Others found a sense of purpose that never left them. But what made the Eleusinian Mysteries so sacred was not just the ritual itself, but who it honored. Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and her daughter Persephone. Their myth was more than a story. It was a reflection of life and death, of loss, love, and return. When Persephone was taken by Hades, Demeter's grief turned the world cold. Crops failed, life paused. But when they were reunited, life bloomed again. The Mysteries embodied that cycle, a divine rhythm that pulsed through every initiate's heart. To walk in their footsteps was to die, and to be reborn. It wasn't metaphor. It felt real. It was real. To them, the pain of separation, the joy of reunion, the terror of the unknown, followed by a deep, inner calm. These weren't just emotions. They were sacred experiences. And for those who emerged from the darkness, something shifted. Life itself gained new meaning. Nature felt more alive, the seasons more sacred, even death less final. And that's what Eleusis gave them. Not answers, but peace. It didn't promise paradise or threaten punishment. It offered understanding, a quiet kind of knowing that beyond the veil there was something more, something beautiful, something eternal, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The Mysteries weren't merely for the elite or the powerful. They welcomed all who sought something greater, from humble farmers to famed philosophers. Even emperors once walked the sacred way. What mattered wasn't wealth or status. It was the willingness to surrender, to step into the unknown with reverence, with humility, and with hope. In a world torn by war and ruled by fear, Eleusis offered something rare: unity through mystery. Year after year, through the rise and fall of city-states, the rites endured, until finally they were silenced, not by time, but by force. When Christianity became the empire's religion, the Mysteries were declared pagan, forbidden. The sacred fires were extinguished. The temple's stones fell, and with them, a portal to another way of seeing the world was lost, but the echoes never die. Even now, scholars search for clues, poets write in awe, and travelers walk those ruins, feeling something stir, a whisper maybe, a breath of old gods. The legacy of Eleusis may be buried, but its soul still flickers. Somewhere between myth and memory, it waits. What did they truly see inside that sacred hall? Was it light? Was it shadow? Was it the gods themselves? We may never know, and perhaps we're not meant to. The Eleusinian Mysteries weren't made to be explained. They were meant to be felt, the kind of truth that doesn't sit on paper, but lives in the bones. Those who entered came as seekers, but those who left, they carried something, a seed buried deep. Some called it enlightenment, others rebirth. The rituals weren't spectacle. They were transformation, surrender, and the realization that death is not an end, but a threshold. Even now, that idea holds power. In a world obsessed with answers, Eleusis dared to say, "Let go." Step into the unknown. Let it wash over you like the sea. Let it break you open so something new can grow. Because the Mysteries weren't about what you saw, but what you became. Today, the sanctuary lies in ruins. The Telesterion is broken stone and scattered memories, but the energy, it hasn't vanished, not completely. Some say you can still feel it, walking the sacred way under a rising sun, touching the time-worn marble, breathing the cool air that rolls in from the plains. Eleusis was never about monuments. It was about the eternal spark within, the longing to understand our place in the cycle, life, death, and life again. And maybe that's why the mysteries still speak, not in words, but in echoes, in the hush between thoughts, in dreams that leave us changed. The ancient initiates are gone, the priests silent, but the invitation remains, not to remember, but to experience, to walk a path that leads not outward, but inward. So if you ever find yourself standing among those broken stones, listen. You might hear it, a whisper from the dark, welcoming you home.